Hi guys, Roman here, and we are back on Urban Treats with another recipe. This week we are making homemade tater tots. These are very similar to hash browns, but the spicing is a little bit different. So make sure you grab all the ingredients, they're in the description, and don't forget, if you like this video, make sure you hit the like button and the subscribe button. So let's get started. Okay, let's start by peeling our potatoes. I'm using russet potatoes, and these are really good because they're starchy and they're pretty dry. So they make a really nice crispy tater tot. And these also work really well for hash browns and for French fries as well. Now that our potatoes are peeled, it's time to grate them. And I'm using a cheese grater with a fine grit. And I'm using a fine grit because I like a finer texture in my tater tots. So let's set this aside. Here we go. And you can really use any type of cheese grater or a box grater. And just grate until they're all ground up. As always, the ingredients, of course, are in the description. And there's also a link to a printable version of the recipe. And on our blog, we have both the metric and imperial measurements for this recipe. So all my friends in the US and in Europe can, of course, use their native measurements. Now, once we've grated all the potatoes, we need to drain them, because even though the russet potato is a pretty dry potato, it still does have a lot of water in it. And we want this to be as dry as possible so we get nice and crispy tater tots. Okay, here we go. All done, and you can see these still have a lot of juice, and we want to get that out. So I'll get a sieve, and we'll pack all that in here. And just squeeze out all the excess liquid. Now you can also use a kitchen towel for this. Just pack all the potato grate into the kitchen towel and then make a tourniquet and just squeeze it until it's super dry and no more liquid comes out. And that's already much better. So next we're going to finely dice an onion, or half an onion. This is quite a large one. So if you have a big onion like mine, then only use half of it. If you have a medium-sized onion, then of course use the whole thing. I'll take off the first layer. There we go. And we'll dice it nice and fine. First, we're gonna cut lengthwise into the onion. Now here's a good trick. When you cut onions, make sure you leave the end part on the onion and cut it off only last, because that's going to hold the onion together when you dice it, and it's not going to fall apart when you cut it sideways. Nice thin lines. You can give it one cut through the middle, or even two. Here, and then dice it nice and fine. Okay, here we go. Ready? And we'll just add this into our potatoes. So our onions are diced, and you can see my eyes are really red. This was a really strong onion, and I had to take a quick break and wash my face. But we are back now. Onions ready, potatoes are grated and strained. We're gonna add a teaspoon of salt. And you can salt them a bit more if you want. I just added a teaspoon. I prefer to add 1 teaspoon, and then I can add more on top once they're done. We add half a teaspoon of oregano. And we're also gonna add 1 tablespoon of all-purpose flour. And that's gonna make them a bit more crispy, and it's gonna hold everything together much better. And last but not least, we're gonna add some garlic cloves. And personally, I really love garlic, and the whole family loves garlic, so I'm gonna add like 3 garlic cloves. But the recipe normally is only with 1 or 2 garlic cloves at most. I'm gonna add 3. peel them a little bit. Here we go. Put them in your garlic press. And number 1 is done. Here's number 2. And last but not least, number 3. Oops, that came out the wrong side. Okay, that's all ready now. So let's stir that up a little bit. And make sure all the spices are really well mixed in, so you have an even taste for each and every tater tot. All right, last but not least, we are going to add a little bit of pepper. Spice all this up a little bit. And I ended up using my fingers to mix everything in. It's much easier. You can just squeeze through everything. Here we go. So next we're gonna form our little tater tots. And grab a little piece, and if you want, you can use a spoon or a scoop so that you get always the same size. But I'm just going to use my hand. I grab a little piece, there you go, like that, and set it aside, and repeat until we've used up all our potato mix. Now, keep in mind you can freeze this if you want. So if you want to just form them and then put them in the freezer, and then you can just thaw them whenever you want to have some tater tots, or even put them directly into the oil and cook your tater tots. So I'm just going to finish up this batch here, and then I'll prepare my saucepan, and then we'll fry them up. I prepared my vegetable oil, and it's heated up at a medium heat and ready for frying. So before I put the tater tot into the oil, I'm just going to give it one more squeeze, because if you didn't use a kitchen towel and a tourniquet, they might still be a little bit wet. And we want them to be like super compact, and we want them to be as dry as possible. So give them a good squeeze and pop them into the oil. Once they're nice and golden brown, we'll just flip them around and let them cook on the other side, so that they're nice and crispy and well done. And that is how you make crunchy tater tots at home. You can get super creative with this recipe, and if you want, you can add some bacon, you can add some cheese or other ingredients to really spice up your tater tots. We're also going to make a tater tot cheeseburger casserole, so make sure you keep your eyes peeled for that video. It's coming up very soon. Thank you very much for watching. We are back next Wednesday with another video and with another recipe, and as always, the link to all the ingredients and a printable version of this recipe is in the description. Thank you for watching. See you next week.